the most amazing platforms in news. I'm talking about journalist Brooke Thomas. She also has a podcast called Controlling Our Narrative, which is around highlighting and having deep, in-depth, and nuanced conversations about Blackness and the state of Black culture and how we move through the world as people of color. And she's here today. We're going to talk about Kamala Harris and her being the VP pick for the 2020 election, because has the potential of being historic. And Brooke, I want to bring you in. Good to see you. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well today. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, Brooke. Let's just get to it. First of all, hello to everyone below. Kamala Harris is the talk right now. As of Monday,
Right.
when Joe Biden announced that he picked her and whittled down the list of other women who would be his VP pick, went with Senator Kamala Harris from California. It sent ripples through humanity, it seems like, right? Why is this the perfect choice for the VP pick?
Oh, you know what? So I guess the voters will let us know if. Are you having trouble hearing me?
Not at all. I can hear you.
Okay, good. There's like a feedback in my ear, but I guess the voters will let us know if this ends up being the perfect choice. But it seems, we're at the same space that we are with any decision that's going to be made. A lot of people are happy. A lot of people are feeling seen, though, for the very first time, which is something that is not necessarily the norm. Obviously, this is the first Black VP nominee of a major party in history.
Sure.
But a lot of people also, have concerns. A lot of people are complaining. But I think that there's an excitement that I haven't seen before in my lifetime from people as far as for a VP candidate.
Well, that's a great point, Brooke. There's absolutely an excitement. I heard there's a truck passing by. Hang on one second. I'm in a complex and it's like traffic city. But getting back to your point about excitement, I would agree 100% because back in 2008, of course, when Obama took the office, again, the conversation was a Black man office. And I love how you pointed out that there's people that don't agree with, or I wouldn't say don't agree, but have taken issues with Kamala being the pick, mainly Donald Trump, who has referred to her many times as angry. And to me, if I can just go there with you, to me, that's him, an unconscious bias towards women of color. Also, it's a microaggression against women.
Is it unconscious? I think we're past that.
Sure, but for it to be, look, we don't know, but openly he's called her angry, and I think that he wants to attach that ABW, the angry Black woman stigma, to her, because he really doesn't have anything on her. She has proven time and time again that she's effective, that she is up for the job. So how else is he going to attack her than to attack that she is a woman? Because he's attacked women of all nationalities before, but also now the added layer of her being a woman of color. Do you get that?
Absolutely. I mean, this is going to be, and think about just from the reactions so far. Immediately, we have gone back to birtherism. We're back to that, which is clearly racist. It's not an okay thing to do. It's not okay to question a Black person's citizenship just because they are a Black person. Also, we have people who don't really love Black people and Black culture and Blackness, also simultaneously standing at the gateway of what is allowed to be Black, who is allowed, to be Black. And that's been fascinating. So of course, the first Black VP candidate in a national party is absolutely going to face racism. If it took us all the way to 2020 to even see a Black person considered for the job, of course. I guess they're asking me to remove my.
You sound okay.
Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise that we're going to see a lot of racism throughout the rest of this race, and it started immediately, like within the hour. It started. Right. You had, national outlets, people who have big careers in media questioning the Blackness. This is a Black woman. This is a proud Black woman. She's also proud of her Indian heritage, and you can be both. She is, by definition, her actual existence proves that you can be both. And I think, there has never been a time since when are Jamaican people not considered Black in America?
Right.
When did that start?
Well, 100%. Brooke, can you hear me a little bit? Okay. I agree with you 100%. People, it's always a very interesting conversation. I know me and you have had conversations about Blackness for years, but when people want to police Blackness, right? When they want to say who is Black enough or who's not Black enough or anything of that nature, it's always an interesting conversation, a bit offensive, if you will, because it's like, first of all, if you are a non-POC, shut up. You have no room to talk about anyone's Blackness, right? But even in the Black community, though, people saying that, oh well, she's like, and it's a whole other conversation. But policy, people don't agree with her on her stance on gun control. They don't agree with her on her stance on a lot of things. How do you think when she gets in office, where do you think that's all going to fall? And I say when she gets in office because I think it's going to happen. But where do you think she'll land with her policies then?
I think on one hand, absolutely, people are going to want to have her answer to some of the decisions she made as Attorney General, right? People are going to want to push her. Also, a lot of people are going to realize a little bit more and learning a little bit more about her history, about her career. She does have one of the furthest left voting records in the Senate. There are a lot of things. I mean, it feels, cliche to say, but yeah, there are going to be a lot of things that people are going to dislike about her history in political office. There are going to be a lot of things that people are happy about that they learn about. And then there are going to be a lot of ways in which we should hold any elected official, if they are to win, to where the voting community is going to push her and push Joe Biden as well.
Right. I would agree. Pushing Joe Biden, though, and first, hi, everyone down below. We see your comments. We'll get to you guys. Comment if anything you want to throw in there. They're saying the audio is a little bit off. It's okay, though. This is live.
Sorry about that.
That's how we roll. Let me see if I can go off of... All right, are we good? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Some people, the conversation also about Kamala, it may be in jest or people truly feel this way, but they're saying that she's actually going to be the president on the sideline. She's going to be the Hillary Clinton. She's going to be making the decisions. She's going to be the one running the Oval Office while Biden is just going to be the non-POC white privileged male that we are electing, of course. That's the face for this administration. What do you say to that?
Excuse me, say that again. I'm sorry, it is playing out a little bit on this end.
Is this better? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. What I was saying is that people have been saying that Kamala is going to be the real president of the United States. She's going to be the 46th president of the United States, while Biden's just going to be the face of the administration, that she's going to be from the sidelines running the country, much like Hillary allegedly from the sidelines was running the country when her and Bill were in office. What do you say to that?
I mean, I think that's also just like this weird trope against women that, I think that Vice President of the United States of America, as Joe Biden could tell you himself, is an important role, is a prominent, important role. It's not something that one is, looking while doing that, looking to leave that behind and be in search of something else. I also see Joe Biden as someone who's run for president 3 times. He obviously really wants to be president. I don't see, Kamala Harris trying to come for his spot. I think she's looking to be a solid vice president and help lead this country.
Right. I would agree. It's interesting, Brooke, that in racial equality and racial injustice and everything we've experienced in the last, I would say 90 days when it comes to being Black in America, that the universe or whoever you believe in would have this perfect storm of Kamala being the VP pick. For you, when you personally saw that this was happening, being a woman of color, a Black woman who is so unapologetically Black. I know when I talk to you, you always say one of the most amazing things about you, and I would agree, is that you are a Black female, that you are a Black woman. When you heard this news, what was your first your most intrinsic feeling when you heard this news about Kamala?
No, I mean, this is it's historic for everyone. As a Black woman, I have never seen a Black woman, another Black woman on at the top of the ticket before, ever. And so, of course, this is historic. And so you sit in that for a second, just outside of everything, just like, wow, this is something, it's 2020. And this has never happened before. And so it's always amazing to witness history. Joe Biden himself now has been the person who was VP alongside the first ever Black president, and now is running for president alongside the first ever Black vice presidential nominee. And it is absolutely, I think, in any way. And I do think, things like this are so bothersome to a lot of people, and especially a lot of people who are used to seeing themselves represented in all aspects of life around them. But it is still a historic moment. And I think just as a person, this is something cool to witness. It's always cool to witness history, right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do we think that, it's no secret, Brooke, that when people of the culture want to support the culture, right? When you look, we turned on Oprah, even though we didn't even watch the show, we turned on the Oprah Winfrey show just to give her that Nielsen rating because we want to support.
I mean, who didn't want to watch the show? It was a good show.
It was a good show, but I'm not going to out anybody, but there are people that were in my own home that did not want to watch Oprah. So
it was a good show. Okay, maybe not everybody likes talk shows.
Right, but do we think that Kamala will extract the Black voters? Do we think that because we have a Black woman, that she will get the Black community more involved with this election? I mean, with everything that's happening, with what's going on at the Postal Service, with these new laws, they're removing sorting machines to covertly or so overtly enable voter registration, and all these things that are happening. Do you think we'll see a bigger showing for Black voters now that Kamala is on the ticket?
So a couple things here. I think, the primary results proved that Black people don't just, they're not just basic voters, right? They don't just vote based on what someone looks like. So that's number one. But also, Black people have been the Democrats' strongest voting group, most loyal forever, essentially, and I don't see that changing because a Black woman is now at the top of the ticket. I can't, I think logic just shows that. Also, something that I always want to remember, and I wish that more of us were honest about this, is that stepping aside, not even talking about Black voters, but just about predictions. And we learned 4 years ago that we have no idea.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I just feel like I just look at polls and predictions just in such a different way now.
Right.
No idea.
Because who would have thought that, look, Ronald Reagan was an actor. There's been people who have made a career in politics after not ever having a career in politics. But for what happened in 2016, it shows that anything goes. If that's even a phrase to use for Trump's election, anything goes. Anything can happen. You never know what to expect. But
right.
But I think a lot of people are saying that the Biden Kamala ticket is a Hail Mary for this country. Is our last saving grace, because another 4 years of what we've experienced, who knows what the United States of America is going to look like in 2024 if Trump is elected. What are your hopes for the future in regards to this election, and what would you like to see happen besides Kamala and Biden being in office? What are some policies you want to see enacted?
I think number one on everyone's mind, I guess not enough, but 160 people are dying every single day right now due to coronavirus, right? People are worried about how they're going to eat. And that was happening even before we entered a pandemic, right? People are scared and worried about if they're going to be able to stay in their homes. People who have businesses are not able to work. People are risking their lives to go back to work. parents are contemplating making, the scariest decision of their lives for their children as far as schooling. And it's not just, do I want them out of the house? It's nothing like that. It's, I have to go to work. My kids, I would like them to be back in a school environment. I would like to protect my kids from a deadly virus. I think, number one, people want to see more action when it comes to COVID-19.
Right.
In every aspect, because things are not going well. They're not anywhere. That's just, honesty about what's going on around us.
Well, and Brooke, that's a great point, because, I mean, Trump's recent press conference, he itemized and did kind of, he itemized the numbers in countries, in places in other countries, not even the United States, right? Saying that, they've had spikes in other countries, but those spikes were 35 people died, or there was 35 new infections in Estonia and places far away from the United States, right? But yet here on a daily, we're getting reports of 1,650 people dying of coronavirus, thousands of people being infected or being tested positive. I mean, I'm in Miami, Florida, which is, of course, a hot spot for COVID in our country.
Right.
But Trump refuses to say, hey, listen, this is a problem. And also coupled with financially, as you mentioned, people that are financially impacted by the coronavirus with unemployment benefits, that extra 600, which it was a lot. That's a lot for that. That was life for some, life and death, if you will. And also, can I feed my children? Can I pay my rent? Can I pay my car note? That extra 600 helped me, honestly, helped me out. And so for that to end, a lot of people are like, what's next? And for Trump to sign this executive order saying, yes, it's going to be this, and then it's not this, and having states saying, listen, we don't have the money to fund this awesome new plan, it's just another slap in the face and adds more stress, adds more anxiety to an already stressful and anxiety-ridden situation. So I'm hoping in November that magic happens, because that's what we need right now. We need a miracle.
Yeah.
No,
I completely agree. This is scary. Of course, like, there are aspects, you're doing everything you can, like I said, to protect yourself and take care of yourself. And people are having to make difficult decisions right now. But we're still living in such a new normal.
Yeah.
And, any life lost matters. That's important.
Right.
I think I struggle when people talk about the death rate as if that lowers the risk, but every single one of those people in that such small percentage point, depending on who you're talking to, that was someone's mother, father, sister. There are, I've read stories of teenagers who lost both of their parents, daughters who, adult daughters who lost their mother, the matriarch of their family. This is unprecedented, obviously.
Right.
And more needs to be done.
Right. Ellie Hoffman asks, and I think this is a great question, Brooke, what would you say to the, quote, never Biden people on the left? Because I think when you talk about politics in our country, especially if you talk just clandestine conversation, people are either very left or they're very right, conservative or liberal, right? And people don't really get the nuances of what those are or in between. But there are people that are liberal that still don't support Biden and still find that he is, I don't want to say, they say that his mental faculties are not there. That's been a conversation people have had, that Biden's not really all, his acuity is not really all there to be fit to be president of the United States. What do you say to those people on the left, and why do you think the left are having those conversations?
I think that there's a privilege in not voting, in not caring to vote. I think that that's a space, a mind state that not everybody gets to be in, right? Gets to live in. And I think over the course of history, right, if you look at what our country looks like, who our country looks like, who's all in our country, and who has been, running for president, elected president over the years, I think that there are a lot of people in this country who have put everything they want aside and voted for their best option and worked to push this country and this country's politics in the direction that they would like. And of course, also there's going to be people who say they're tired of doing that and they want to, hold their vote hostage and you're going to learn. I can't tell anyone, what to do with their vote. I know that there are a lot of people who fought, were beaten, bloodied, jailed for
Yes.
this right that people who look like me haven't even had for 100 years.
Right.
And, obviously people are going to do or not do what they please with it. 4 years ago, we saw people writing in Harambe, the gorilla that was killed, on the ballot. And so there are always going to be people who don't care enough. There are always going to be people who do care enough and feel like this is their only option.
Right.
I don't live for them.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to see Peter Bittner out of Seattle. He has a great question. He says Biden is now polling 16 points over Trump with independents now as of the latest poll as seen on NPR, Love NPR. Question he asked, Brooke, is do you think honestly Kamala is helping to bring independent voters in?
I mean, look at the money they raised in the 24 hours after the announcement. So I
imagine,
yeah.
20 million, right? Around 28 million?
It was like 26 million, something like that,
yeah.
24 million, something like that in 24 hours. And so looking at things like that, it's just logic and the facts show that the announcement of Kamala Harris as, Joe Biden's running mate has excited a lot of people, gotten a lot of people up off their behinds, ready to move. Yeah.
Right. Brooke, real quick, let's talk about your podcast, Controlling Our Narrative, because I think this is another great space that you've had so many awesome conversations with a myriad of different people, people of color, people from the culture, where you talked about everything from being gay and Black to being Jewish and Black, and just so many great conversations that really a lot of people aren't having. Tell us about your podcast.
Yeah, so my podcast and it's so funny because I like to think of my podcast as, of course, my podcast is a focus on Black voices, because in national news, in local news, in news overall, there is not, we don't get a lot of representation. We don't get a lot of talking time. We don't get a lot of opportunities to share our perspectives, but we are Americans, we are Americans, and our perspectives matter because of the history of this country. Our perspectives, are always going to be different. And we each within our community are different. And so my podcast it's focused on American issues, American news, and finally getting to hear multiple Black American perspectives on everyday things that are happening around us. How does you turn on the news and the stories, how do they affect you? Something that we don't often get to see and get to talk about, because we're not seen as or talked about as if we are the typical American, although we are.
Right. And they can download the podcast on any place, any streams everywhere. Yes.
Yes, everywhere. And we're on YouTube now too as well. So go check it out. You can check it out. You can check out clips. I always post clips on my YouTube page, Brooke on Air, and as a little tease, and hope that you will check out the full show. We're going to have full shows on YouTube soon as well. But yeah, I'd love the support. It's called Controlling Our Narrative.
Controlling Our Narrative with Brooke Thomas. Before I let you go, Brooke, this is a question I thought about this morning. If, there was 4 other women that were, like I said, Biden whittled down the list, right? Susan Rice, you had Elizabeth Warren, and another woman that was on the short list for the VP candidacy.
Keisha Lance Bottoms.
Right. Sorry. How could I forget the mayor of Atlanta? How can I forget?
There was Gretchen Whitmer. I think there were a lot of people. Yeah.
Do you think had he not gone with a woman of color, the news would have been as electrifying?
I don't know about that, but of the names that we heard, we're talking about the former UN ambassador. We're talking about senators, members of Congress, and then obviously Elizabeth Warren, I think, would have also excited a lot of people. Then you had some people who, were first-term governor. And so I think, there were going to be a lot of people who were going to question people with these stacked resumes not being, taken as seriously as someone who's, doesn't have the same experience. But I think that people would have been happy about Elizabeth Warren as well. I
Yeah.
think that saying that, though, just, my opinion, the Kamala Harris announcement made history.
Right.
And it's not shocking that people are happy to see her there, happy to be able to vote for her, happy to be able to vote for someone who looks like her for the very first time. But she is not in this position simply because she's a Black woman.
Right.
She's got a resume that backs it up.
There you go. Kamala Harris came with the receipts a mile long. A mile long. We're excited. Brooke Thomas from Los Angeles, guys, go follow her at Brooke on Air on every social media platform. Please go stream and download Controlling Our Narrative with Brooke Thomas. Brooke, glad to have you here from Los Angeles on Haps. You are a gem. You're incredible. We're going to have you back for sure because there's no one like Brooke Thomas in the world, and you're incredible. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Jason. I appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye, you all.
All right, you guys, that was Brooke Thomas from Los Angeles. You have seen her on The Young Turks. You've seen her in so many great places. She is a journalist. She has anchored the news in some of the best top 10 markets from Dallas to Memphis to Philadelphia. She's an incredible journalist. She is definitely deep in the weeds when it comes to politics. She has given so many nuanced approaches and conversations at a lot of great outlets that really speak to what's happening in our country. So go follow her at Brooke on Air. And that's going to do it for me here on Haps. Every Friday, we're going to have interviews with some really cool and compelling people talking about what's happening in our country. Until next time, you guys, I'm Jason Carter here on Haps from Miami, Florida, and I'll see you guys soon.